Well, hello and welcome to our session and set of series about Teach About AI. So, we know that AI is a real buzzword right now, and we want to empower teachers to be able to have great talking points and lessons to help teach your students about AI. And so, this week, part one is about AI, and we are going to talk about bias as part of AI as we get rolling. So, we haven't really talked yet about what is AI. And so this is a really nice diagram that I've found that really, I think, puts it together in a nice, simple format. We start at the outside, and artificial intelligence, AI, has been around for a long time. It even goes back to the 1950s and 60s when computer scientists were teaching computers to identify different things. So that took a lot of labeling and naming. This is an apple. This is a banana. This is a peeled banana. This is an apple cut in half. This is the thing. This isn't the thing. And so lots of artificial intelligence was trained so that machines could act like humans, perhaps in choosing something or being able to identify something. As we move on, we get to machine learning and even deep machine learning. And that's where the machine or AI can make predictions based on data. What's data? Well, data is a lot of information. Sometimes data would have been put into the machine by people. And so they were saying, here's the data or the information that you're going to train on. And as we get into deeper learning and generative AI, the machine is learning from the internet, everything that's out there. And so machine learning, deeper learning is when machines can make predictions based on their data. So imagine a program that's trained by AI to identify X-rays or things that are happening in X-rays. So a machine might be taught to identify a cancerous tumor in a X-ray. Imagine that you are a banker and your job is to give people mortgages. You can train a machine to identify which clients are more likely to pay their mortgages and which clients might be a little bit more risky. Machines can be trained on those things. We also use things like Google Maps and Alexa and Siri, and they have been trained to identify what we need or what we want. When we use YouTube or Spotify, it suggests playlists based not just on what we've listened to and watched previously, but it's also taking a look at what we're searching on the computer and what's in our social media feeds. It's looking at all of those things. Now, lately, we've gotten into a whole different realm. So we've gone from being able to have machines that can predict based on their data to machines in generative AI that generate something completely new. They're trained to create new data, new text, new objects, new images. They can even create new video. They can create computer code. And it is new. It hasn't existed before. It's been trained to make new things that look like the data or information that it was trained on. So, in a way, it's almost trying to mimic what it learns, and it's all done by computers. And it's just mathematical algorithms that are helping it decide what makes the most sense based on what I've been trained on. So, we are going to take a look at how all of that is affected by bias. So artificial intelligence has outputs. Those are the things that the artificial intelligence gives us back. And those outputs, that's an important word, they're influenced by the training content. And we would call that the input. So in generative AI, the inputs are just about anything that has been published to the web. Now, AI hasn't had access to the real locked academic journals of science and literature and all those things, but it has been trained on kind of the wider web that people have contributed to. So think of things like Wikipedia and YouTube, Reddit, social media. Now, those are things that people don't need a license to create. Anyone can create. Anyone can create a YouTube channel. Anyone can create social media posts. And so for many of those items, there are things that are fully truthful and factual, but there are also things that are highly opinionated and perhaps even things that are false. The AI can't tell the difference. It takes those all in, and that's going to influence what it gives out. Now, the other thing that affects bias is that web content that AI has been trained on is predominantly English. The vast majority of sites and websites are English, and that content has predominantly been produced in North American or European countries. So when we look at that and we think, who's been writing and producing all the things on the internet? What does that person most look like? Where are they most likely from? We have to ask ourselves, whose voices are missing? And when AI generates an output, whose voice hasn't it considered? Let's take a look at what that might look like. So what we're going to do is we're going to come to Google, and a great place to do an experiment is in Google. So Google, or you could do another search engine if you like. I'm going to type in the word nurse. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to see when AI makes a decision about a prompt about a nurse, this is what it's going to take a look at. So I'm going to click on images because this really helps us take a good look. Now, if we look here, we'll notice that the majority of these nurses are female. There's a few males, but mostly they are female. Now, let's replace nurse with doctor. And so when we look here, again, the majority of the people in this picture that are searched for doctor are males. Now, you'll notice the lady that's kind of in the center, she's wearing blue scrubs. She's likely a nurse. And so I think that leaves 2 other female doctors. All the rest are men. And so when you ask AI to write a story about a doctor and a nurse, you might have heard this output before. The AI will almost always make the doctor the male and the nurse will be a female, just because that is what it's trained on. And that is a good example of what bias looks like. All right, so it's your turn now. You could do the same experiment. You can try to search doctor and nurse. On the list on your screen right now, there is a nice list of things that you can try to search for. Try restaurant server, try president or prime minister, try elementary teacher, high school teacher, try cleaning, truck driver, childcare, professor, playing soccer. I'm going to leave these up on the screen so that you can see them and try them out. And teachers, you can either assign your students some of these topics. They might try some other topics. You can decide how you want to have them discuss. What you're going to do right now is you are going to press pause. And when you've had a discussion, you'll come back for a quick wrap up. I'm just going to leave this on the screen so you have the instructions while it's your turn. All right, welcome back. I'm very interested to know what you talked about and how your discussions went and what you learned about bias. Did you search for professor? Do you notice here? Oops. We'll go back a page. Did you search for professor and notice that almost all the professors listed were male? Did you notice, it depends on which search engine you look, but oftentimes they're even older males, sometimes with wild hair. Did you notice that they're almost standing in front of a chalkboard or a whiteboard? We see several of those images here. Did you notice that lots of those whiteboards often have math? So there's a very stereotypical, biased type image of what a professor looks like. Now, this particular image does have a few professors of color, but depending on the search engine, sometimes you will just get really all old white men. Look down below, house cleaners. It's interesting. Vacuuming comes up a lot, doesn't it? But did you notice how many of those people are female? So those, again, are biases that the AI builds its assumption on. And so when we ask it for information, it is going to give us that stereotypical information back. And that makes us think that that is the way the world is or should be. What I want you to remember is that you can edit your AI outputs. It's a suggestion. We're going to learn about the 80-20 rule, where you can let AI do 80% of the work, but you should do 20% of the thinking. And so when you see bias in your AI outputs, you can be sure to ask it to try again or to give it some more information. All right, so lots of different things we're going to talk about AI coming up that as students you need to be aware of when you are using AI tools. So today we did bias. Come back as we look at misinformation, inaccuracies, We'll look at how AI is unimaginative. We'll look at some plagiarism and copyright issues and safety and privacy next times on About AI. Thanks for joining us.